Hey, what's going on, everyone? It's Terry Brookhart here again, and I got a question for you. Are you a success zombie? If you're anything like me, then you know that MLMs can be amazing business opportunities. But the major issue is, what do you do if you don't want to bug family members and friends? And how do we recruit the best players into our downloads? This podcast is the answer to those and other grilling questions about MLMs as I've learned. My name is Terry Brookhart, and welcome to the Mlm Hero Radio. So to answer the question, are you a success zombie? I'll start with the definition of a success zombie. Basically, it's the person that consumes all of the content. They'll read all the books. They'll go and watch free webinars. They'll go on YouTube and absorb all the content, whether it's motivational, whether it's business, whether it's marketing. And they'll take all this information, right? They absorb it and then do nothing with it. But they are the first person to say how to do things right or do the right thing, but they've never actually done anything themselves. Now, I first heard it on the MFCEO podcast, which is hosted by Andy Frisella. And I'm not sure if he was the first person that coined the term success zombie, but that's where I heard it first. And that's pretty much the same definition that he went into detail explaining. And why I'm talking about success zombies is one of my character flaws was I was a success zombie. I went to seminars. I watched hours and hours of content. I bought several books, and for a very long time, I didn't actually do anything with the knowledge that I was gaining. And there is a time and place to absorb the information that you're trying to learn to produce some sort of result. There's nothing wrong with that. In fact, in order to move in a particular direction, you have to have some sort of understanding of what direction you want to go, and using the resources that you have, such as the books that are written by some of the experts in a particular field. In this case, marketing for your MLM, or listening to people that have a sound voice or know what they're doing because they're the ones that have already walked the path before you, and modeling their behavior. But at a certain point, after you've read the books, after you've listened to the podcast or watched the videos, you have to make a point to take action, and that's kind of where I stopped. I was doing all the right things, and I became very knowledgeable, and I wasn't per se an expert in the field of marketing, especially internet marketing, but I knew what right looked like. But I didn't take action immediately. Honestly, realistically, and being totally open and vulnerable, from the very first time that I went to a seminar, it took me 2 years to actually start doing anything. I dabbled here and there, and Ed Milet actually said something along the lines of, life is full of false starts, or life is riddled with false starts. And what he meant by that is, when you see something and you pursue a goal, whether it's fitness, whether it's success in MLM, whether it's creating your own business, it doesn't matter. What you're trying to pursue, you will keep repeatedly stopping and starting until you actually have some sort of success and create momentum behind that. So the cure that I found and what works for me is creating difficult situations that I overcome. In other words, I'm not saying that this is for everybody. This is just what works for me. I take cold showers, so I'll get up in the morning, I'll go work out, and then I come back. I'll make a protein shake, and then I take a cold shower. It's very uncomfortable. I don't like doing it. I'm used to it now, and I've been doing it for honestly about a month, and it's definitely improved my mood. It definitely helps me focus. It sucks during the process because as I'm washing off and then it's ice cold water, it's a very uncomfortable situation. But my mentality is, if I can withstand this discomfort, it makes me more mentally focused and mentally hard. So I don't quit when I face adversity, or when things get difficult, or when things get tough. So if I'm doing long hours and recording podcast episodes, or going out and talking to people, or creating content, I don't get exhausted as quickly. And it's not necessarily from the showers themselves as much as it is from the act of making myself take on essentially controversy. I'm taking a difficult situation and intentionally tackling it because it gives me confidence to keep moving forward. Also, what works for me, and not to make this preachy or like motivational, so to speak, but you've heard writing your goals down and things of that nature. I do that personally, but every day I write down a little bit of a paragraph journal of gratitude, and it helps me focus on the things that I'm currently grateful for. So that way it keeps me in a more pleasant and happy mindset, because I find that for me personally, I would read all the books and get all the motivation, and when I would do nothing with it, it usually would mean that I get down or depressed, or I talk myself out of wanting to record episodes for a podcast and publish, or things of that nature. But if I'm grateful, I find myself being more motivated to do the right things. I do something called the power list as well. So it's, instead of writing goals, I basically have 5 tasks that I have to do every day to create positive habits in my life. And they are: wake up at the first alarm. So the very first time I hear my phone buzz, I get up and out of bed. It sucks right in the beginning because you're very uncomfortable with waking up the very first time that your alarm goes off. We train ourselves to constantly hit the snooze button, and I'm totally guilty of it. I did it many, many times, and don't tell anyone, but I did it this morning just because I was a little bit sore and I wanted to sleep in. But tomorrow I'm getting right back onto my good habit train. Anyway, so the 5 things are: wake up at first alarm, exercise before 9 a.m., call one family member or friend, journal, essentially write down the gratitude and my affirmations, and meditate. Just those 5 things I do every single day, and at the end of 30 days, I can take 1 or 2 off and then put something else on. And the whole purpose is just to create action in my life. I'm creating habits that I can keep improving upon. So going from a success zombie and saying that I'm doing the right things and reading and absorbing all the good content, it's doing action steps to put yourself in a position of power. You want to be in control of what you're doing. And how you do that is take 1 step at a time. You don't have to, it's great to have 10x goals and have all these monster dreams. I'm 100% for that, and I do have them myself. But I also have my smaller goals that I tackle from day to day to make sure that I stay on that trajectory. Because the worst thing that I find myself doing is, from time to time, I get complacent. So how I keep myself focused are doing things like the power list, or taking the cold showers to put my mind in a state of focus so that way I can do the right thing to progress forward. And this all ties into MLM because you can watch all the videos, you can listen to this podcast and get a lot of great tips from me or people like me. You can read the books from gurus and experts in the fields, but if you don't do anything with it, or you don't try to put yourself in a position where you're improving day by day, you're not going to get anywhere. I know I didn't get anywhere, and it's a fact. It's the nature of the beast. So this whole episode is a little bit different than what I was originally talking about, but it was on my mind, and I wanted to just talk about that. Talk about taking away the success zombie and removing that piece from your life. Because we want if you're listening to this podcast, you want some sort of success, whether it's better health, more money, a sense of focus, or you just like listening to my voice. I don't know. But that said, I really hope that this is making sense. The biggest takeaway from this episode is to take action. How not to be a success zombie is by doing something. Move forward somehow. I mean, I gave a couple examples that I do, but you don't have to do necessarily what I do. There's plenty of great resources out there, but start small. Identifying a why and watching the videos and consuming the content, but do something with the content. In this case, like I said, I'm doing a podcast. And this is my voice. This is what my action to you guys. So ultimately that brings me to, if you like this podcast and what I'm talking about, there's this really cool thing called the Mlm Heroes Masterclass that I'm giving away for free. And I'm going to be open and vulnerable with exactly what I'm doing. And I want to show you guys my automated systems. It's kind of like a training that you can show your entire downline. It isn't a pitch. I do not talk about my MLM at all. I won't talk about it here in the podcast. I won't talk about it in the masterclass. You'll never hear me mention it because I try to keep this very, very, very third party. I don't like when other people pitch me their product without me asking, so I will not do it to you guys. I want you to feel comfortable, and I want you to grow. If you want to stay in your own MLM, that's totally fine. My whole goal is to help you understand how the game is being played now and be successful doing it. If you're interested in that, go to the MLMHeroRadio.com. But that's it. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Please leave feedback and subscribe so that way I can make it better for you guys. And I will see you in the next episode.